guys, and welcome to another episode of Indy Wine Chats. Today we are talking all about 5 reasons why we feel like everyone should work in the retail industry. Both of us have a background and a history with retail, and it has really taught us so much. I mean, so much about this world, both positive and negatives. You have that in any industry and job that you're in, but I think it's just it's an important industry to work in, especially when you're first starting out and you're young and you're just trying to figure out your way in the world. Retail is like a good go-to.
It is.
So we have 5 different things. I have my phone with me because we took some notes so that we could remember all of the important things that we wanted to tell you. So the first thing is that I feel like working in the retail industry gives you an understanding of people in general. One, how to serve them and how to really communicate and talk with people. This day and age, we always sit like this behind our phones and we are like keyboard warriors. Yes. And this face-to-face communication doesn't happen as much as I feel like it should. Yeah. And working in the retail industry, it's service dominant. Yeah. So obviously you have to know how to talk to people. So it gives you an understanding of that. It gives you an understanding of how to just work with people.
All different kinds of people.
All different kinds of people, yes, from all walks of life.
Yeah, whether that be the customer or the client or whether it be other employees. It forces you to work with different personalities or when you're helping people, I feel like it teaches you about yourself too. I feel like just working in retail, I've learned a lot about my personality type by working with other people with different personalities. You can kind of see. So I think that's important to see how you can, like you said, communicate with other people. And not only that, but communicate with other people who may have different personalities or likes or different walks of life than you. And I think that's important too. Older, younger, whatever.
Yes, absolutely. The second thing is that it gives you a respect for retail workers in general. Yes. So when you walk into American Eagle or to any of the local places that you want to shop or whatever, it gives you an idea of what they're doing in their day. So they're unpacking inventory, they're tagging items, they're steaming items, they're getting them out on the floor for you. Like there's so many other things that happen aside just from serving you when you walk into a store. It gives you kind of an idea of what's going on in their daily life, and it also kind of gives you an insight into what, especially with small business, what the owners do in order to make their businesses successful. It just opens like all your eyes to like the world around you.
Exactly, because it's like if you've never worked in any type of retail environment, going into a store, you're just thinking, I'm here to shop, and what are they going to do to serve me, which is important. Customer service is huge.
It is.
But when you've worked retail, you know about everything that goes on behind all of that. Yes. So whether that be getting the store opened or closing the store or cleaning the store or just all of the things that go into everything that makes the store set up for success. There's so much behind the scenes that, you know, as a consumer, you don't necessarily see. Yeah. So working in retail, you know, this is going to be, I'm going to give you a pet peeve.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
I know this is going to be negative, but I'm going to do it. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but when a store opens, when people are outside the door staring at you when the store's not open and yanking on your door, like, I'm not ready for you. No, my store says this time. Nope. Let me finish. Because it's not like we're just walking in and kicking our feet up. Like, you're getting the store ready.
Yes.
You know?
So you're like preparing for your day.
Let the store get set up.
Yep. Let us get there.
When you've worked retail, I'm a freak. I will not go up to doors until they've been opened at least 10 minutes. Yeah. And I will not walk into a store and try to do major shopping when they're about to close either. Yes. Because you want to respect their time. They want to get home to their families or whatever. Yeah. So I'm not going to stay in a store past the time they're closed because I understand what it's like to like, I'm worked all day, now I'm ready to go home, be with my family. Retail's not my whole world.
Yes,
so it gives you some understanding of that.
Yes. So respect.
Yes.
Great. Okay, the third thing that we have is that it helps you with your own personal shopping experiences. So, for example, if I walk into a store and I am not greeted, I am not buying. Like I walk right out. Yeah. If you don't say, hey, welcome, I don't even care if it's that, I'm not buying from you. Yep. But if I walk in and it's, hey, how are you? Like, welcome, this is who we are, this is what we carry, whatever. Like, I don't need a 10-minute speech from you.
Just acknowledge that we're there.
Yes. I need you to acknowledge my presence and that I am a customer that's walking in. And you don't know how much money I am going to spend with you that day. I mean, I could be prepared to walk in and spend $500 or whatever it is. I mean, there are plenty of times when I've been working and somebody walks in and I'm like, oh, they're not going to spend any money with us today, or oh, they're just looking. Well, the just looking customer becomes the person that is like going to make your day. Yeah. So just that in general it just gives you this idea of, okay, this is what a shopping experience should be. Yeah, and should look like. Yes. So I think that
100%.
That's really important. It gives you an idea of how to tip in the service industry. So I'll let you chat a little bit about this.
Yeah, so obviously that's not necessarily the clothing retail world, or working at a grocery store or wherever that may look like, even like a fast food place. But in any type of service industry, whether that be hair, makeup, aesthetics, restaurants, any
bars.
Of that, bars.
Yeah.
All of that. I think a lot of people feel like, well, they're getting paid, so I don't have to tip. In the restaurant world, I've never worked as a waitress or bartender. I think it'd be kind of fun to actually do. My husband and I talk about that a lot, but it's so important. They get paid such a small minimum. They rely on tips. So if they give you good service, like tip them well for that, because they're not making like $20 an hour to serve your table. They're making very, very low, and they rely on those tips. So I think when you've kind of worked in somewhat of the industry, you kind of have a respect for, they're working really hard.
Yes.
And if they've given you a good experience, like, reward them for that.
Right.
Or in the hair, or, if you're going to get a facial or massage, or you get your hair done or whatever. I think sometimes people are like, well, those products don't cost very much, but you are getting their time, their expertise, their schooling. They paid to go to school to get licensed, to keep up with those licenses, to continue to train. So there's so many things that I think sometimes you don't see unless you've kind of worked in that world.
Right.
So it's important to tip them and if they do a good job, because they have worked so many things to get there. It's not like they just showed up, bought one tube of color and slapped it on your head and called it a day.
Right.
There's so many other things that go into that. So it definitely gives you respect for all the stuff that they've worked to get to that point, to do your hair or to do your makeup or to serve you or get your drinks or whatever.
Right.
So
when Colin and I go to dinner, we always say, okay, like, we start their tip at 20% because, like, we know that you're working hard and that you're here on a Saturday night while we're having our date night, and you're not, and likely you're not doing that. You're, like, there every Saturday or on the weekends or whatever. So we start at 20%, and if you're really great, then sometimes we go above and beyond that. And if you're not really great, then you like lose 1% every time that something happens. But I think it just gives you an idea of, again, just that expectation of if you work in the retail industry or any kind of service industry, service is critical. And it makes or breaks a business. And if you don't perform and you don't serve your clients and your customers, you're not going to make your money. And you have to hustle for it.
Yep. And when you've worked in that world, that just gives you an understanding of that so much more, because you realize how hard they are working for that tip or whatever that may look like.
Yes.
So this is kind of funny. I tell this little story about my husband. So he was getting a drink at I don't know, at like a place downtown, and some guy came in, and it was a place where you could get a growler filled. And so he got his growler filled, and the lady was like obviously very helpful, got him his stuff, whatever, sent him on his way. And my husband knows the people that work there, and he's like, "Did that guy tip you?" And they're like, "No, that happens a lot." And my husband's like, "That's unacceptable." So he walked out to the parking lot, and he was just like, here's the deal. Like, these people work so hard for you, and I know that they just filled your growler, but this is their job, and they get paid so low. And so it's it's like disrespectful if you don't. And the guy walked back in and tipped her. So,
wow, good for Nate.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like people don't always get there just like, oh, well, they brought me this one cup of water, or they brought me, something small, but they're still working.
They're serving you.
They're still serving you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's my little tidbit for that.
The fifth thing that we had is that the retail industry gives you some sort of sense of responsibility. So no matter what it is, whether you're an owner, whether you're a manager, whether you're a sales associate, or whatever it is, you have certain tasks that you are responsible for finishing that day. Yep. You're responsible to show up on time. Like, that is like number one responsibility. Yep. And then you're responsible for yourself while you're at work and finishing your tasks that are left for you. Yep. And you're responsible of the time that you're being paid to be there. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I have walked into a store and the sales associate is sitting doing their homework. And not talking to me. I have not greeted, nothing. And I'm like, that really stinks for that store owner who just lost all of my money because I'm not buying from your sales associate. Yeah. So it gives you just an overall general sense of responsibility for everyone else's time around you, your own time, what has to be done, getting certain tasks done with a deadline. Yeah, it does. I mean, it makes you, especially if you worked in the retail industry starting out really young and kind of grew up a little bit in the retail world. I mean, it definitely teaches you, number one, that, you have to be responsible, you have to be reliable. Not only do you have to be on time, and it's not just about you. So if you are not showing up on time, it affects everybody else that's there on the team. And so it gives you a little bit more of an awareness of
the world doesn't revolve around you. And I
Right.
think when you're young, sometimes you're just kind of like, whatever, it is what it is. I'll show up if I don't want to, or I'll call in, or whatever. It does teach you to be responsible because you have
Yes.
other people relying on you. You have the whole store's reputation that can be reflected in you.
Yes.
And so it teaches you, I think, to grow up and to be responsible.
Yeah.
Another thing I kind of thought of as we've been talking, is that when I first started working in the retail world, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, I went to cosmetology school, but I was still unsure what I wanted to do with that. Working my first retail job showed me what I loved and what I didn't love. And it kind of directed me really into some of the passions that I think have formed what I'm doing now.
Absolutely.
And I don't think I would have known that if I hadn't have worked in that retail
Right.
world and been given different responsibilities. Like,
Right.
okay, I'm good at this, I'm not good at that. Okay, I really love this, but maybe I'm not very good at it, or maybe I do love this, and that like explodes to something that I wouldn't have known unless I had been in that retail world.
Right.
And so I think it's important for you, even if you're in school and you feel like you know what you're doing, and even if it's a job that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your degree, I think
Right.
it teaches you about people and about yourself and what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Yes,
So I think
it
that is
absolutely
so
does.
helpful in your career,
Yeah.
eventually.
Well, that, and I think it gives you so many opportunities, especially within the fashion industry, especially if you live in Indiana. It gives you opportunities to network and to meet people and to do things that you wouldn't otherwise get to do.
No.
Like, for example, had I not worked with Raylan's, I wouldn't have been able to go do an internship with Fabiana in New York City for 2 months. And that experience is something I will never forget. It helped me further myself in my marketing career and understanding marketing and everything that goes into it. And just a sense of the fashion industry and what that's like in New York City outside of the Midwest. So, you know, there's all these things that it's like, if you really are interested in the fashion industry or the beauty industry, retail is a really great starting point for you.
Yeah.
Because it teaches you so many things and gives you so many opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I've connected with so many people that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Right.
That may have to do with what I'm doing or may not, but it's so good to make those connections. Like, connecting is huge.
Yes.
And so I feel like if you can make those connections, and that just started working at a retail store.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I think it looks like it's not some glamorous job, but at the end of the day, I feel like there's so many pros to working in the retail world because I feel like it teaches you so many things. And it teaches you the value of hard work, too. You totally respect people in small business and how hard they have to work.
Yes. Absolutely, and how hard they hustle, and I mean, it's nights and it's weekends and it's 24/7. It's
2 a.m. doing QuickBooks, and you know, like there's so many things that it's not like they just show up at 10 a.m. and they close at 8 and then they're done. There's so much that goes into it, and I think that's one of the reasons we're so passionate about small business is because we know how hard they hustle and how hard they work, and I think it just makes you respect, you know, that you want to support that. You want to support people that you feel like have worked hard for that.
Absolutely.
So it gives you that understanding to that world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yay. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully that was a great little insight about kind of the retail industry in general, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Yay.
Cheers.